Alex's ship shuddered violently as it entered the planet's atmosphere. Sparks flew from the damaged hull, and warning lights blinked in frantic red. He gritted his teeth, gripping the controls tightly as the ground rushed up to meet him. With one final screech of metal, the ship crashed into the rocky surface. Sliding across the alien soil before coming to a halt, Alex's head spun from the impact. But he forced himself upright. The cockpit was a mess of twisted metal and smoke, but he was alive. Looking around, he saw jagged cliffs stretching into a purple sky, with strange luminous plants swaying gently in the wind. The air was breathable, but had a metallic tang that made him cough. He stepped out cautiously, taking in the alien landscape. Okay, he muttered to himself. Let's see what we're dealing with. He had landed on a planet not yet charted by human explorers. He was meant to study its environment, catalog its flora and fauna, and report back. But nothing in his training had prepared him for the beauty and danger of this world. Towering crystal formations caught the sunlight, refracting it into brilliant colors. Strange creatures with translucent wings flitted between the rocks. Everything seemed both mesmerizing and threatening. Alex began walking toward a nearby cluster of strange structures that looked like a mixture of natural crystal formations and artificial buildings. As he approached, a sudden movement caught his eye. A figure stepped from behind the rocks. She was humanoid, but unlike any human Alex had ever seen. Her skin had a faint silver sheen, and her hair shimmered with a soft blue glow. Her eyes were large, almond-shaped, and golden, reflecting the light in a way that made them seem almost liquid. She moved with careful grace, like a predator watching a potential threat, and Alex froze in place. The alien woman Lyra stopped a few meters away. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. He could sense her caution, the way she shifted her weight as if ready to flee or strike. Alex slowly raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "I come in peace," he said. His voice steady but calm. Lyra's gaze narrowed. She did not speak, but her expression carried curiosity mixed with wariness. Her people had strict rules about outsiders. Humans, in particular, were unpredictable and had a reputation for recklessness. Lyra had been warned never to trust a human male. Still, something about this one was different. He did not carry the arrogance of other species she had encountered. His eyes held intelligence and caution. He moved with care, not fear, but respect. That alone made her pause. "You are far from your world," she finally said. Her voice melodic but firm. Alex nodded. "Yes, my ship. It crashed. I didn't mean to land here. I am an explorer. I don't want to hurt anyone." Lyra's eyes flicked to the wreckage behind him. She observed the sparks and smoke, then glanced back at him. She noticed his injury scrapes and bruises from the crash, but also the calm determination in his posture. He was human, yes, but there was more to him than she had expected. "I must be cautious." Lyra replied, "Humans are dangerous. My people have strict rules about interaction, especially when it comes to connection." Alex tilted his head, unsure what she meant by connection, but he nodded respectfully. "I understand. I will follow your rules. I only wish to survive and learn." Lyra studied him for several long moments. Humans were not known for restraint or patience. Many species avoided them entirely. Yet here he was, standing with hands visible, showing no aggression. She sensed something unusual, something that hinted he might be different. "You may come closer," she finally said. Stepping aside, Alex moved forward slowly, careful not to startle her. The terrain was uneven, and the rocks seemed to hum faintly under his boots. He noticed symbols etched into the crystal walls, glowing faintly with energy. This world was alive in ways he had never imagined. As he walked, he tried to communicate further. "What is this place? Are these buildings or natural formations?" Lyra's eyes softened slightly. "They are both. Our ancestors shaped the crystals, but the planet itself is alive. It grows with us. It reacts to life and thought." Alex's brow furrowed in fascination. "That's incredible. I've never seen anything like it." Lyra's stance relaxed a little. Curiosity was dangerous in her culture, but she couldn't deny the spark of interest she felt. He was genuinely intrigued, Not just greedy or careless like others had been. You must understand. She said, her voice serious again. Humans are not common here. Many would seek to exploit this world or my people. I cannot trust easily. I dread certain things you might do, certain bonds humans form. Alex nodded, not fully understanding, but respecting her caution. I only wish to survive. If trust comes later, I will earn it, not demand it. Lyra's golden eyes lingered on him. She could feel her own hesitation. There was a part of her that dreaded getting close to any human male. Her people had instincts, deep and ancient, warning them against forming bonds with humans. And yet, there was something about him, his respect, his intelligence, his strength, and his calmness, qualities she had rarely seen in any outsider. They moved toward the crystal structures together, with Alex asking questions about the planet and Lyra answering cautiously. She explained her people's history, their rituals, and the rules that govern interactions between males and females. Alex listened intently, absorbing every detail without judgment. Hours passed. The sun of this alien world dipped below jagged mountains, casting long shadows across the land. The sky changed from purple to deep orange, then to inky black dotted with unfamiliar stars. Alex realized he had survived the first encounter, but more importantly, he had done so without causing offense. Lyra finally led him to a safe shelter, a chamber carved from glowing crystals. It pulsed faintly with energy, providing warmth and light. She gestured for him to sit. You will rest here, she said. Tomorrow, we will see if trust is possible. For now, you are alive, and that is enough. Alex sat, exhausted but grateful. Thank you. I promise I won't cause harm. Lyra watched him silently. Inside, she battled conflicting feelings. Part of her dreaded what might come from being near a human male. The stories, the instincts, the warnings, they all screamed at her to stay away. But another part, curious, cautious, intrigued, wanted to observe him more closely. She wanted to see what made him human. What made him different from the reckless outsiders she had feared. As night fell over the alien planet, Alex slept with the hum of the crystals around him. Lyra stood by the entrance, golden eyes scanning the dark horizon. She still felt fear, but also a faint spark of curiosity, something she had not felt in a long time. Perhaps this human was unlike any she had encountered before. Perhaps, just perhaps, he might change her perspective on humans entirely. And for the first time in her life, Lyra wondered, could she trust him enough to let him into her world, to see what lay between caution and understanding? The night passed slowly, the alien sky shifting colors as stars twinkled in strange patterns. Lyra kept her watch, silently observing the human who had crashed into her world, unaware of the quiet fascination he had sparked within her. Tomorrow would bring questions, challenges, and decisions. But tonight, she allowed herself to simply watch and wonder. Little did she know, this was only the beginning. The human male before her was about to prove that courage, intelligence, and respect could cross even the widest gaps between species and perhaps even change the rules that had governed her people for generations. The morning light filtered through the glowing crystal walls of the shelter, casting shifting patterns across the chamber. Alex woke slowly, his body still sore from the crash. But his mind was alert. He looked around, remembering the alien woman who had led him here. The night had been quiet, the hum of the crystals providing a strange comfort. Lyra was already awake, standing silently near the entrance. Her golden eyes followed him as he moved. Careful and respectful, she did not speak at first, only observing. There was a careful rhythm to her gaze, a mixture of suspicion and fascination. Alex sensed it and gave a small, polite nod. Good morning, he said softly. Lyra inclined her head. You slept well? Better than I expected, Alex admitted. The crystals, they feel alive, almost like they are watching over me. Lyra's lips curved slightly at the corner. They are. The planet provides, protects, and responds. It chooses what it allows to flourish. Alex studied the walls, the crystals shimmering with soft light. He could see faint patterns moving beneath the surface, like veins of energy. It was unlike anything he had encountered on Earth or during his previous explorations. He felt a thrill of curiosity mixed with caution. I want to learn about this place, Alex said. And your people, if you will let me. Lyra's gaze sharpened. Humans were unpredictable. And she remembered the warnings she had been given. Many humans sought power. Many disrupted what they did not understand. Yet, there was something different about him. He asked with respect, not entitlement. He wanted knowledge, not dominance. That distinction mattered. You may observe, she said carefully, but understand this, your presence is unusual, and our customs are not for outsiders. You must follow the rules. There are boundaries you cannot cross. Alex nodded solemnly. I will. I promise. For the rest of the morning, Lyra guided him through the nearby crystal structures. They were partly natural, partly shaped by her people. The walls were carved with symbols and glyphs that glowed faintly. With energy, some emitted heat, some cold, and others pulsed like a heartbeat. Alex traced his fingers along the carvings, careful not to touch them too roughly. These crystals are alive, Lyra explained. They grow with us. They store knowledge, history, even memory. Many can feel the energy they carry. You seem to sense it too. Alex nodded, his mind racing. It's like they are recording everything. The vibrations, the energy, even emotions. I can feel it. Faintly, Lyra studied him carefully. No other human had ever remarked on this before. Most would have dismissed it as illusion or superstition. But he could perceive subtle energy shifts, respond to patterns, and respect the unknown. That intrigued her. Your kind is different, she said softly. Perhaps more adaptable than I was taught to believe. Alex smiled faintly. I tried to learn. Not just react. There's so much here I don't understand yet, but I want to. The afternoon brought new challenges. Lyra led Alex outside the shelter, where the terrain became more rugged. Towering crystal spires rose from the ground, surrounded by strange plants that seemed to react to their presence. When Alex stepped carefully over a glowing root, it quivered, and the plant recoiled slightly. Lyra's eyes narrowed, impressed that he moved with such awareness. You are careful, she observed. Most humans would rush in, disturbing the balance. I've learned the hard way that rushing usually leads to mistakes. Alex replied with a small laugh. Better to watch first, then act. Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. She found herself considering him in a way she had not allowed herself to consider any human before. There was a patience, a precision, and an intelligence that set him apart, yet her instincts reminded her to be cautious. Her people had survived for centuries by respecting danger, and humans were often the most unpredictable threat. As they climbed higher among the crystal spires, a sudden noise echoed across the cliffs, a loud crack, followed by the sound of falling debris. A rockslide rushed toward them, and Alex reacted instantly. He grabbed a loose crystal shard and used it to prop a boulder in their path, diverting it away from Lyra. His quick thinking saved them both. Lyra's eyes widened in surprise. She had expected humans to panic, but he remained calm and resourceful under pressure. He did not hesitate. He analyzed, calculated, and acted. She realized then that his courage was not reckless, it was precise and deliberate. You are different, she admitted, her voice almost a whisper. Not all humans would survive this, let alone act so decisively. Alex caught his breath, looking at her with a smile. Experience teaches. Observation and quick thinking save lives on any planet. Lyra's internal conflict deepened. She felt a strange pull toward him, not desire in the sense her people warned about, but admiration, curiosity, and trust slowly forming. Humans were powerful in ways she had not considered. They were unpredictable, yes, but not always destructive. Some, like this one, could be remarkable. The evening brought quiet moments. They sat on a ledge overlooking a valley of glowing crystals. The wind carried a strange hum, like the planet itself was speaking. Alex watched Lyra carefully, sensing her tension and curiosity. Do you trust me? He asked softly. Lyra did not answer immediately. She thought of the rules, the instincts, the warnings she had received. Trust was not something given lightly in her culture. But looking at him, seeing his calm eyes and steady demeanor, she felt a flicker of something new. I begin to, she said cautiously. but trust must grow slowly. You are not like the humans I was warned about. That is remarkable. Alex smiled. I'll take that. Slowly is fine. I just want to understand your world and you. Lyra's golden eyes met his. For a moment, the distance between them seemed to shrink. She realized that her fear of humans, her dread of bonding or connection, was giving way to curiosity. She wanted to see him more closely, to study him not as a threat, but as an individual. Tomorrow, she said finally, you will see more of our people. You will observe our rituals, our culture, and our daily life. But you must follow the rules. Any misstep could be dangerous not just for you, but for everyone here. Alex nodded, understanding the weight of her words. I will follow the rules. I want to learn, not interfere. As night fell, Lyra remained vigilant. Though her mind wandered, she had seen enough today to know that Alex was not ordinary. His intelligence, bravery, and respect for life set him apart. And yet, there was a part of her that hesitated. Humans were unpredictable. She had been warned about the risks, about the instincts her species carried. But watching him today, she could not deny a quiet, intriguing interest that was growing, slowly and carefully. The hum of the crystals filled the night as Alex slept, exhausted but alive. Lyra watched him silently, considering the possibilities. Could humans truly be as capable and admirable as she was beginning to suspect? Could trust form between species, so different, governed by instincts and rules so ancient? Her thoughts lingered on him, on his actions, his choices, his mind. Unlike any other human, he had shown patience, intelligence, and courage. Lyra felt a rare flicker of hope. Perhaps this human could be more than just an outsider. Perhaps he could be a bridge between her people and the human world. The night stretched on, the stars above casting unfamiliar patterns in the sky. Lyra remained at the entrance of the shelter, watching and thinking. Trust would not come easily, and curiosity alone was not enough. But one thing was certain. Alex had already begun to challenge everything she had believed about humans. And, for the first time, she allowed herself to wonder what might come next, not with fear, but with cautious anticipation. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and new insights. But for now, she let the quiet hum of the crystals and the presence of the human beside her settle in her mind. This was only the beginning. The journey ahead promised danger, discovery, and connection. And Lyra, despite herself, was eager to see where it would lead. The morning sun bathed the crystal spires in golden light, casting reflections across the jagged cliffs. Alex woke feeling rested. His muscles sore but steady. Today, he would venture further into Lyra's territory, guided by her cautious trust. He knew each step mattered not just for survival, but for building the fragile connection growing between them. Lyra was already waiting near the shelter's entrance. Her posture was alert, as always. Yet there was a subtle shift. She was no longer just wary. There was curiosity in her gaze, an interest she struggled to hide. You are awake, she said, her voice calm but firm. Good. Today, I will show you more of our daily life. You will observe carefully and respect all rules. Alex nodded. Of course, I want to understand, not disrupt. Lyra studied him for a moment. There was something remarkable about how he carried himself, his respect, his awareness, his ability to learn quickly. Unlike most outsiders, he was not reckless. That alone made him intriguing. They set out across a series of crystalline pathways that shimmered underfoot. The ground was uneven, and the air vibrated faintly with the energy of the crystals. As they walked, Lyra explained the daily routines of her people, the way they harvested energy from the crystals, how they trained young warriors, and how they maintained harmony with the planet. Alex listened intently, asking questions with care. He didn't interrupt or judge. He only sought understanding. Lyra noticed the difference immediately. Most visitors, especially humans, either dismissed her explanations or tried to take shortcuts. Alex did neither. You are patient, Lyra said after a while, her golden eyes glinting. Few outsiders show such interest without seeking advantage. That is rare. Alex smiled. Patience is useful, especially on a world like this. The day progressed with lessons and observation. Alex learned how to interact with the living crystals without damaging them. He discovered how to sense their faint pulses of energy, noticing subtle shifts in temperature and vibration each. Success earned a small nod from Lyra, a sign that she approved of his caution and awareness. As they reached a large crystalline chamber, Lyra motioned for him to sit inside. The walls pulsed with a soft blue glow, illuminating the space. "This is where we practice skills essential to survival," she explained. "Strength, agility, and observation are tested here. You may participate if you wish, but remember you must respect the limits of your body and the rules of the chamber." Alex studied the space. It was unlike any training ground he had seen. Crystals jutted from the floor and walls, shifting subtly as if alive. One misstep could result in injury. He nodded carefully. "I will be careful," he said. Lyra watched him closely as he navigated the chamber, moving with precision and adaptability. He climbed, balanced, and calculated his movements, avoiding hazards that could have injured a less careful participant. She realized that human ingenuity was remarkable. His body might not be naturally adapted to this world, but his mind compensated in ways her species seldom saw. When Alex reached the end of the chamber, Lyra's expression softened. "You are capable," she admitted. "Not many would manage this successfully. You think and act with balance. That is impressive." Alex caught his breath and looked at her. "I learn by observing first, then acting. Risk without thought rarely succeeds." Lyra nodded slowly. There was an admiration in her voice now, mixed with the cautious respect that had grown over days. She found herself thinking more about this human not just as a visitor, but as someone whose mind and abilities were unusual, even extraordinary. Later, they moved to a training field outside the chamber. Lyra demonstrated her people's combat drills, a series of coordinated movements designed to enhance agility, reflexes, and strategic thinking. Alex watched intently, noting patterns and techniques. "You may try," Lyra said. Alex stepped forward carefully, mimicking the movements. His body was not trained for combat like hers, but his ability to analyze and adapt allowed him to follow the routines with surprising accuracy. He stumbled, occasionally, but each time he corrected himself quickly, showing flexibility and determination. Lyra's golden eyes studied him closely. She could see the human mind at work calculating, adjusting, learning from every movement. He was not reckless. He was not careless. He respected limits, understood patterns, and could think under pressure. "You adapt well," Lyra admitted. "That is uncommon for humans." Alex smiled faintly. "I do my best. There is much I do not know, but I can observe, learn, and try." As the sun dipped toward the horizon, a sudden alarm echoed across the training field. A tremor ran through the crystals, causing some to crack and vibrate violently. Strange creatures, drawn to the energy, appeared at the edges of the field. They were curious, but could become aggressive if provoked. Lyra's gaze sharpened. "Stay close. Watch carefully. Act only when necessary." Alex nodded, his mind racing. He observed the creatures' movements, noting their patterns. When one lunged unexpectedly, he used a nearby crystal shard to block it without causing harm. Another approach required him to shift weight quickly, and he did so with precise timing. Lyra's eyes widened in approval. She had expected hesitation, perhaps even fear. Instead, she saw courage and intelligence at work. Alex acted decisively, thoughtfully, and without panic. "You are unlike any human I have encountered," Lyra said softly. Alex glanced at her, catching the admiration in her eyes. "I only react with what I know. Observation and calculation can prevent harm." The creatures eventually withdrew, their curiosity satisfied and danger avoided. Lyra exhaled slowly. "You have handled this well. That was not easy, and yet you succeeded." Alex nodded, his chest still rising with exertion. "Thank you. I tried to think first, then act. It seems to work here, too." Lyra's golden eyes lingered on him. Her initial dread, the instinctive fear of human unpredictability, was fading. Curiosity was taking its place. She found herself wanting to understand him more, to study this human and see what made him so different. Later, as they rested near a small crystalline lake, Lyra allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. Humans were not simply brute or reckless, as her people had believed. This one Alex was patient, observant, courageous, and intelligent. His qualities had allowed him to survive in ways that even some of her own species struggled with. "You're extraordinary," she said finally, almost to herself. Alex looked at her, curiosity in his eyes. "Extraordinary?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Not just for a human, for anyone. You see, most outsiders fail to respect our rules, our planet, our people. You do not." Alex smiled faintly. "I only want to understand. I believe respect is the first step to trust." Lyra felt a warmth in her chest she could not name. It was not attraction in the sense her culture warned against. It was admiration, curiosity, and perhaps the beginnings of connection. For the first time, she considered that a human could be more than a visitor or threat. As night fell, they returned to the shelter. Lyra watched Alex move with care, noticing small habits, the way he touched the crystals gently, the way he observed every detail, the patience in his actions. Each observation deepened her curiosity. She realized then that her initial dread of humans had been based on stories and instincts, not experience. This one human had shown her qualities that challenged everything she had been taught. Intelligence, courage, respect, these traits were rare, and in him they shone brightly. Lyra allowed herself a small thought. Perhaps humans could be more remarkable than she had ever imagined. Perhaps they could be trusted if carefully observed and understood. And for the first time, she felt a quiet hope, a possibility that this human, Alex, could be more than just an outsider. He could be a partner in thought, action, and survival. The night stretched on, the alien sky above filled with unfamiliar stars. Lyra stood at the shelter entrance, silent and thoughtful. Trust was not complete, curiosity was not enough, but the first connection had been made. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and more opportunities to observe this human. And Lyra, despite herself, felt anticipation. She wanted to see how far his courage, intelligence, and respect could go, and perhaps, one day, she might see how far trust between them could grow. For now, she watched the human asleep among the hum of the crystals, knowing that each action, each observation, each careful choice had brought them closer to understanding each other. And she wondered what would happen when humans and her people met on a deeper level, not just in survival, but in connection, understanding, and perhaps something entirely new. The morning sky was a soft lavender, the light reflecting off the jagged crystal spires that surrounded the valley. Alex stretched, feeling the soreness of the past days, but also a growing sense of confidence. He had survived the crash, learned about Lyra's people, and adapted to the strange environment of the alien planet. Today, he would continue his journey with Lyra, but there was an unspoken tension between them, a curiosity, a mutual respect, and a cautious trust that had begun to grow. Lyra stood at the shelter entrance, watching him closely. Her golden eyes, which had once been filled with wariness, now reflected a thoughtful contemplation. She studied the human carefully, noting his attentiveness, his careful movements, and the intelligence that shone through every decision. It was rare for any outsider to earn even a fraction of her trust, and yet Alex had managed it. "You are ready," she said finally, her voice calm but firm. "Today, you will see the deeper challenges of our world. You will understand why our people value caution, respect, and thought in all things. Observe carefully. Act wisely." Alex nodded. "I will. I want to understand everything I can, safely and respectfully." They set out across the crystalline terrain, moving toward a large valley where energy from the planet flowed in strong currents. Through the crystal formations, the ground hummed under their feet, the vibrations of the planet subtle but constant. Lyra explained that this valley was a place of both danger and learning, a test of skill, observation, and courage. As they moved deeper into the valley, the air grew tense. Strange creatures began to appear, drawn to the energy of the crystals. Some were small, skittering across the ground, while others were larger, their translucent wings catching the light as they hovered above. Alex observed quietly, noting patterns in their movements. He did not panic. He did not rush. He adapted. Lyra watched him carefully, her golden eyes reflecting both surprise and admiration. His reactions were precise, thoughtful, and measured. Where others might have reacted with fear or aggression, he acted with calculated care. A sudden tremor shook the valley, sending smaller crystals tumbling from the walls. The creatures scattered, but a large rock formation began to collapse, threatening their path. Alex assessed the situation instantly. He grabbed a fallen crystal shard and wedged it against the unstable formation, preventing it from crushing the path entirely. Lyra could not help but note the human's resourcefulness. "You are remarkable," she said softly, almost to herself. Not many could act so decisively and correctly under pressure. Alex glanced at her with a small, tired smile. Experience teaches. Observation and calm thinking can solve more problems than panic ever could. They continued through the valley, and Lyra began to explain the deeper traditions of her people, rituals of bonding, cooperation, and mutual respect. Normally, humans were not allowed to witness these rites, but she made an exception for Alex. His careful observation and respect for rules had earned him a rare chance to see these practices firsthand. Alex listened intently. He asked questions with humility, never interrupting or dismissing the explanations. Lyra was impressed. Most humans either scoffed at these traditions or tried to manipulate them to their advantage. Alex did neither. As the day progressed, they encountered a challenge unlike any they had faced before. A sudden energy surge from the planet caused part of the crystal formations to crack and vibrate violently. The creatures of the valley became agitated, some aggressive, others fleeing. Lyra and Alex had to act quickly to protect themselves and maintain balance. Alex moved with remarkable precision. He calculated the safest path, using the crystals to shield themselves from falling debris. He guided Lyra through areas that were unstable, anticipating shifts in the terrain before they happened. Lyra's admiration grew. Not only was he capable, but he also showed care for her safety, a rare trait among outsiders. "You think ahead," she said quietly, her golden eyes studying him. "You anticipate, you protect, and you respect life. That is uncommon." Alex nodded. "I learned long ago that survival depends on observation, respect, and careful action. Every life matters, even creatures we do not understand." Lyra felt a warmth she could not name. It was not attraction in the sense her culture warned against. It was respect, trust, and a deep curiosity about the human before her. She realized that her initial dread, the instinctive fear of human males, was giving way to something new. She wanted to understand him, to see what made him extraordinary. As they reached the center of the valley, the energy from the planet intensified. Crystals glowed brighter, casting long, shifting shadows. The wind carried a soft hum, almost like a voice whispering through the formations. Lyra turned to Alex. "Do you feel it?" she asked. Alex closed his eyes for a moment, sensing the subtle vibrations. "Yes, the planet is alive. It communicates through energy, through motion. It is aware of us." Lyra nodded. "Most outsiders do not feel it. They only see beauty or danger. You perceive it. That is why you are different." They spent hours navigating the valley, solving challenges, and observing the planet's energy. Alex demonstrated ingenuity, courage, and respect at every turn. Lyra's admiration grew, and her initial fears continued to fade. She realized that humans, at least this one, could embody qualities that her people valued: intelligence, bravery, and respect for life. As night fell, they returned to the shelter. The sky above was filled with unfamiliar stars, and the crystals cast a gentle glow over the landscape. Lyra stood at the entrance, watching Alex carefully. "You have proven yourself today," she said. "Not all humans could have done what you did. You have shown intelligence, courage, and respect in ways that are rare among outsiders." Alex looked at her, sensing the sincerity in her voice. "Thank you. I have learned a lot from you, too. Your people, your planet. It is unlike anything I have known. I want to continue learning." Lyra felt a quiet satisfaction. The human had earned her respect through action, thought, and observation. The fear she had carried instinctive and cultural was no longer the dominant feeling. Instead, there was trust, admiration, and the beginnings of understanding. "You are capable of much," she said softly. "I no longer dread your presence. Instead, I see potential. I see someone who could be a bridge between our worlds." Alex smiled faintly. "I hope I can live up to that. I want to do right by your people, by this world, and by you." Lyra studied him in silence. She realized that trust, once earned, could grow into something powerful. This human, through his courage, intelligence, and respect, had changed her perspective. He was no longer just a stranger or outsider. He was a partner in understanding, a proof that humans could rise to challenges far beyond what her people had imagined. The night deepened, and the shelter hummed with the energy of the planet. Alex slept, exhausted but safe. Lyra remained at the entrance, gazing at the stars and reflecting on the events of the day. She had feared humans, as her culture had warned. But this one had proven that fear was not always justified. Trust, respect, and curiosity could bridge even the widest gaps between species. She allowed herself a quiet thought of hope that humans and her people could coexist, learn from each other, and perhaps even create a future built on mutual respect. And she knew that Alex, in his courage, intelligence, and patience, had become the first true example of what humans could achieve. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, and more chances to understand each other. But for now, Lyra allowed herself to simply watch and wonder at the human before her, one who had transformed her fear into admiration, her dread into cautious hope, and her curiosity into a connection that promised something extraordinary. The night passed peacefully, the crystal's gentle glow casting protective light over the valley. For Lyra and Alex, the journey had only just begun, but trust had been established, understanding had grown, and the first steps toward a remarkable partnership had been taken. And in that quiet, luminous night, Lyra realized that humans were capable of more than she had ever imagined. And perhaps, just perhaps, one human could change everything,